Hi again, guys. We have made it through the end of April here in the 1949 replay, and I wanted to just sort of walk you through some of the statistics here. And so we'll go straight back into Windows and we'll take a quick look at them. I hope that my head doesn't get in the way too much. We'll see if we have to change that. You can see here the standings. Of course, if you've been paying attention, if you've been reading the blog, you don't know all of this yet. But if you've been paying attention to these games, you should have a good idea of what's happening. Pirates have a half-game lead over the Giants here in the National League, and the next team down is the Boston Braves, who are not really necessarily playing all that well. The teams that you would expect to play well, the Cardinals and the Dodgers, are there in the middle, both under 500. In fact, the Dodgers are 5-8 and are having a particularly bad season to start off. The American League, it's the Indians, Red Sox, and Yankees who are all theoretically tied. They're really the Indians with the better winning percentage are in front. The Red Sox and Yankees have played 12 games. Indians have played 10, which is the reason why they're showing up as tied in terms of games behind. American League is much tighter with the Browns and the Athletics still within shouting range, whereas with the National League, it looks like it's the Pirates and the Giants who are going to run away with this. Of course, up until the most recent game, this 2-1 victory by the Reds, the Pirates were 10-0 and looked like they were going to just win every single game. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if Pittsburgh comes back down to earth or not. We knew that the Red Sox and Yankees would be at the top there in the American League. That was pretty much a given. Now, I wanted to look here through a couple of the statistics for you. Now, if you've not seen Diamond Mine Baseball and the way it does statistics, take a look. There's not really much that I can do to make the screen better, unfortunately, or to make it much bigger that I'm aware of. It's not exactly the best reporting system in the world. I mean, I'm trying to look here. I'm not really seeing much that I can do to increase the font. And I'm going to take my head here. We're going to move me all the way over here to the other side. Maybe that'll help a little bit. But as you can see, this is teeny tiny. It's going to be really, really hard for you to read, unfortunately. I'll take a quick look here and see. But yeah, there's not really much of an option here. And so my apologies for the poor font. We're just going to look really quickly at some of the leaders in terms of batting. And remember, we're just at the end of April, so a lot of these stats are going to be like totally inflated. Dom DiMaggio is hitting 500 and is completely tearing the cover off the ball. Lee Boudreau is after him, hitting 421. Nobody's really close to DiMaggio. I mean, Ted Williams hitting 413, which is excellent. He might be able to hit over 400. We'll see what happens. DiMaggio's also got an on-base percentage of 576, which is better than Williams at 571. DiMaggio's slugging percentage is 760. The top here is Eddie Juiced at 935. We'll see why in a second. In terms of RBIs, Juiced has 18, followed by DiMaggio and Stevens there with 14, and the Boston Red Sox are just simply awesome so far this year. I mean, really, really good. For home runs, Eddie Juiced actually has 8, which should be surprising to you. Ralph Kiner's second with 7, and you would expect Kiner to hit more. Kiner hit, I think, 54 in real life, if I remember right. He had a really good year. In 1949 in the real season. Stolen bases, as you would expect, not much. Torgerson has 5 steals and hasn't been caught, but that's for the Braves who are not playing that well. Rizzuto shouldn't be that surprising. 5 steals against 1 caught stealing. Robinson, I've been running a lot. 3 stolen bases, 2 caught stealing. Nobody else really worth mentioning there. And when we look here at secondary, just to look really quick, there's a lot of stuff that's sort of like sabermetrics and super sabermetric statistics. Honestly, I don't worry so much even about runs created. I would just look at OPS, on base plus slugging, because it tends to be a really good indicator of where runs created is probably going to be at. And Eddie Juiced is leading that with a 1.450, followed by Ralph Kiner and then Dom DiMaggio, all kind of close together. Seminick, too, after those 2 home runs in the April 30th game. It's not going to stay like this forever, of course. The more games that we play, the more things will change. There are these analytical stats. I don't care so much about this. You can look in it if you really want. Total bases plus walks plus hit by pitch and other stuff. Meh. In play average and stuff like that. Again, yeah. Number of balls hit in park and stuff. I mean, whatever. I mean, this is one of those things where, like, yeah, I mean, if we get really deep into sabermetrics, we'll look at it and we'll really care about it. I don't know, man. I mean, the more I read about baseball, the more I learn about baseball, the more the stuff like that really doesn't interest me that much. So looking at the pitching stats, earned run average, if you really care about that, Dixon and Worley for the Pirates are both under 1, which is quite good. And we're seeing a lot of guys with sort of microscopic ERAs. That's normal because it's early. Tommy Byrne has 21 strikeouts for the Yankees, followed quickly by Preacher Rowe, who has 20 for the Dodgers. That's after the Dodgers, after Rowe's most recent start with the Dodgers, where he had 8, if I remember right. Wins, we're not going to worry too much about this right now. It's way too early for us to care. Batting average against, we care about more. Byrne with the 1.5 or 154 batting average against, which is excellent. In fact, a lot of these guys who are sub 200, which is fantastic. Worley has a 191 on base percentage against, which is absolutely stellar, completely amazing. And then Sam Jones with the Giants has a 186 slugging percentage against, and you can see why these teams are playing so well. It's because they have really good pitching. Now, we care a lot about walks per 9 innings, and Worley's the guy you want with 0.3 walks per 9 innings against, which again is very, very good. Just looking quickly through this, we actually don't care much about saves here because, I mean, it's not going to be that important here, or save percentage. Innings, we don't care too much about. Complete games, there's going to be a lot of them at this point. We don't care much about it. Even home runs, I mean, Preacher Rose given up 6, which is interesting to note, but most of those were in the last game. It's too early in the season for us to say much about this. Looking through this quickly, seeing if there's anything else that's interesting, not really. And I mean, we can look into on base plus slugging against. We'll see Worley there at the top. He's also the top on walks plus hits per inning, right, with 0.64. That's the reason why the Pirates have played so well, and his strikeout walk ratio is 17. So, I mean, you're going to play well no matter what season it is if you got a pitcher pitching like that. And they probably wish that Bill could be pitching every single game at that rate. And that's really about it for like your really interesting stuff. Again, runs created against per 27 out might be interesting to you. I don't know. I would still much rather go with on base plus slugging against, or the walks plus hits per 9 innings, just sort of out of what makes the most sense to me. Anyway, your mileage may vary. Now, there's one other thing that we want to look at, especially for 1949, and it's not exactly the easiest stat to find, and it kind of stinks that it's not the easiest stat to find, but we want to look at team totals and fielding team totals. And the reason why, obviously, is because we want to look at how double plays are. Now, you have to change it from American League up to Major League Baseball, and we don't want to look at fielding percentage. We want to look at double plays. And yes, we want to include teams with 0 stats. I don't know why it has you choose that. Now, you look at this and you think, why is it that I can't like make this bigger? Why can't I do something different with the screen or whatever? Or I'll put myself back over here to the other side. I don't need to be way back over there. And the reason why is just because that's the way Diamond Mine Baseball is. Remember, this is a DOS game that was ported to Windows. As we can see here, as you can see if you got your glasses on, the Athletics have made 24 double plays defensively in 13 games. I went and grabbed my calculator, and I'll see if I can find it. Here it is. In fact, I will switch over to screen view, which will make me a little bit smaller, and let you take a quick look at this calculator. So I was doing a couple different things to sort of figure this out. They have an average of this 1.8461 double plays per game, in that they've had 24 double plays in the 13 games played. If we multiply that out by the 141 games remaining, they would have probably about 260 plus the 24 they have already. They're on pace to have about 284 double plays, which is, of course, extraordinarily unrealistic, and which is kind of not where we want to be in this replay. So the record, again, and I had to look this up again if I'm going to have to look it up one more time, the record that they set that season in real life was 217 double plays. So that tells you something that might end up going wrong with this. Now, I have heard from other people who've played this season of Diamond Mine Baseball that there is a problem with the double plays in 1949, and the problem is not that there are too few, but rather that there are too many, right? We're going to talk about this in the future more as we come across and as we start to analyze. 1949 is a very difficult season to go through, and something like double plays are really, really hard for any game, no matter how well polished it is, to get right. Chances are that it will either have too few or it will have too many. And part of the reason why, of course, is because these games are trying to match individualized statistics, especially individualized fielding statistics, and it's really kind of hard to figure out exactly what combination is needed to make this happen. So, in general, my prediction for Diamond Mine, this Diamond Mine Baseball 1949 replay, is that we're probably going to wind up with far too many double plays in both leagues combined, and we're probably going to have numerous teams beat that 217 in a season record, which is a major league record that probably will never actually be beaten in real life. And that kind of gives you a hint into some of the problems that exist with the game engine, right? If you're unable to hit that, it tells you that for some reason the game engine is calculating that there should be more double plays than there really were in real life, as it tries to make sure that it gets the ERA correct and the batting average against it correct and whatever else it is that the game engine is trying to get spot on. And when you see stuff like double plays that are totally way out of whack, or if you're playing with old APBA seasons that J. Richard Seitz made and you see that stolen or caught stealings are like nowhere to be found and non-existent, then you can see that there is a weakness with the game engine. That's not to say that it's a bad game. Every game has these problems, right? I've seen on message boards where people complain about Dynamite saying, oh, 1973 Nolan Ryan will strike out his guys, but he won't walk enough guys, right? That's another weakness of the game, right? I've seen people talk about OOTP saying that Mike Marshall in the mid-70s, you can't get him to appear in enough games because of OOTP's fatigue system. That is a problem with OOTP, right? These problems exist with every single game that's out there. You just know that they exist, and when you learn what they are and you talk about them, then it's actually an interesting discussion, but they do exist. Diamond Mine Baseball has a lot of these problems, and one of these problems is with double plays 1949. Something to keep in mind and something to talk about and something to sort of look into. Now, we'll talk about this again. We'll talk about this over and over again because it's a real interesting subject. The truth is, though, that things that are like double plays and caught stealing and how many times did you bunt and how many times your guys are being thrown out on the base paths and stuff like that, you might look at that as an outside observer and say, well, who cares? You know, that doesn't really matter that much. It matters. It really matters a lot. And the reason why it matters is because outs matter in these games. And that's one of the things you have to learn. No matter what, outs are important. Outs matter. The thing that makes baseball go, the juice behind the game, is outs. You have to keep that in mind, and this is something that sabermetrics won't teach you, but this is something that the people who create these games will teach you. It's about outs, and if there's something that will generate an out and you're not reflecting it in the game, it's going to show, and you're going to have too much of something or something's going to be off balance. And as we can see here, Diamond Mine Baseball has a problem because the outs are off, right? If there are too many double play outs, then we're missing out somewhere else, and we're going to have other problems with the statistics. They might be hidden, or there might be something the game will do to cover it up, but it's going to be there. Anyway, there you go. That's my little spiel about the statistics so far, and we'll see how this one plays out. It's been fun so far. It's been kind of exciting. We'll see what happens. Maybe the Pirates and Giants can hold on there in the National League, or maybe the Dodgers and Cardinals will be able to turn it around. Whatever happens, you'll be able to follow it all along with me. We're going to do this replay together, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.